So firing things up again, drivers getting set to go. Kyle Kirkwood for Cape Motorsports on the pole alongside Rasmuth Lint. Row 2, Lucas Kerr and Keith Donegan. Row 3 will be Kalen Frederick and Darren Keene. Row 4, Igor Fraga and Alex Barron. Row 5, Julian Vanderwatt and Jose Sierra. We are going to go green this time by 75 laps for USF 2000. Green, green! Racing into turn number 1 now. We'll give you a big shout out to those of you tuned in live on the Mazda Road to Indy app. My name's Rob Howden. I'll be joined by Krista Hard later on today. They'll rocket down the back straightaway. Everybody looking for room. Look at Alex Barron going to the top side of the racetrack. 3 wide through turn number 3. They are 3 wide. Donegan out in the middle. Alex Barron up top. No contact. Barron goes to P3. That's the way to start USF 2000. 3 wide through turn number 3 and 4. Alex Barron, who almost tagged the wall in qualifying the opening lap, on the charge quickly. Barron up to third, but Kyle Kirkwood's used this to take over the lead now comfortably from starting on pole. Rasmuth Lint runs in second. The 19 Alex Barron for Swan RJB Motorsports now into third. Tremendous run for him. Started in the 8th position, stayed to the outside, and made a great move as he worked his way to the high side in turn number 3. Good battle right now for that 5th and 6th spot as well. That's Keith Donegan in the 30 and the 24 of Kalen Frederick. Keith Donegan, a young Irish Formula Ford racer. Oval racing like this, totally foreign to him, but working with the veteran John Wolko. They have sat him down and tried to go over the intricacies of running an open wheel car on the oval like this. Donegan going to settle into 6th position. 7th is Darren Keene. 8th is Jose Sierra. 9th is Igor Fraga. And in the 10th spot now, I believe that is Calvin Ming. So get underway. USF 2000, the Freedom 75 here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Just getting things rolling now. 75 lapper. We expect that lap cars will play a factor later in the race. At this point, Kyle Kirkwood leading early. No real battles on track at this point. Everyone's settling in it here. Good fight further back though. Here comes Oscar De La Zuriaga. He's going to go to the inside of Russell McDonough down into turn number 3. De La Zuriaga trying to get by McDonough. They're side by side coming out of 4. McDonough's going to try to pinch him down to the bottom, coming down the front straightaway. That's going to be some aggressive racing for that spot. Kyle Kirkwood, though, open racetrack in front of him. Alex Barron in qualifying looked like he may have an opportunity to go for the race win, or rather the pole. He had just a little bit of an issue on the opening lap. Put down a monster warm-up lap. Overcooked it going into 3 to begin his qualifying run. Almost got it up in the wall, but was able to hold it out of there. Great start for Alex Barron, starting in the 8th position outside of row 4. Brief chat with him in the paddock before he got going racing. He was worried about starting on the high side. I told him, listen, you just keep it up on top there. You're going to see some opportunities. People, at the start, these drivers will try to keep the car a little lower, potentially trying to defend on that low move. It opens up on top. You can capitalize, and that's exactly what Alex Barron did. French driver with 2 victories to his credit already here in the 2018 season. Now running P3. 4th is Lucas Cole in the 22. Teammate Kalen Frederick running in 5th. Keith Donegan 6th in the number 30, the scholarship shootout winner in the Soul Red Mazda. Darren Keene for Newman Walks Racing in 7th. Jose Sierra 8th. Igor Fraga 9th and Calvin Ming 10th. 10 laps now, just in the early going. Field pretty spread out at this point. Now, tire degradation is going to be a factor with these drivers. If you push too hard, the car's not perfect, tires will start to slowly go away. Those who could potentially manage their tires, putting the pressure on the driver in front of them, we could potentially see some moves. Oscar De La Zuriaga continues to try to get after Russell McDonough in the BN Racing entry. Right in front of him, David Osborne, the other Newman Walks car. That's the battle right now for the 19th spot. First time we've had these new Tatis USF 17 cars on the shorter oval here at Lucas Oil Raceway. They ran last year at Iowa Speedway. 7/8 of a mile, highly banked track. Oliver Askew scoring the win. Field running cleanly thus far. Darren Keene, you're going to have to watch out for what could be a battle from behind as the number 12 of Jose Sierra in the blue and white D-Force entry trying to find a way by. De Luzuriaga continuing to put the pressure on. Those of you trackside here want to pick up the PA call on your AM radio. We are on FM 87.9. If you're on the radio, FM 87.9. Pick up the race call from here today. Going to start seeing Kyle Kirkwood having to work his way through some lap traffic pretty soon. Kirkwood has worked his way around to the tail of the field. We'll try to go to work on Kyle Dupel. In the drivers' meeting, the competitors told to hold their line. If you are at the end of the lead lap, you do not need to give up the position. You're able to fight for it if you want to. But at this point, Kirkwood going to go to the bottom side of the racetrack, coming down the front straightaway. He'll get by Dupel cleanly and will drift back to the top line. You can see how much more corner speed that Kyle Kirkwood holding over Kyle Dupel rolled through that corner and pulled probably about 5 car lengths as they came out of turn number 2. Kirkwood handling things easily now. These cars so evenly matched. We, at this point, don't have anybody really battling for position. That said, the 22 of Lucas Cole closing up a little here on Alex Barron, back by just about 4 car lengths. Kalen Frederick there in 5th. Donegan having a good run in 6th position. 7th, Darren Keene. 8th, Jose Sierra. 9th, Igor Fraga. And 10th, Calvin Ming. Again, 87.9, the FM station, if you want to pick up the play-by-play here this weekend. Kirkwood again moving to the bottom, this time trying to go by the number 29 of Russ McDonough. We'll have to hold that middle line a little longer. McDonough getting a good run on the top. This is where the spotters come into play. They'll tell Kyle that he's clear, able to drift back up to the top part of the racetrack, and stretches, of course, holding a lot more corner speed coming in to turn number 3. Joining me in the PA booth here this weekend from Motorsports Tribune is Chris DeHard. Chris, some great racing obviously here in the past at Lucas Oil Raceway. This particular weekend, the first opportunity to see what we're getting out of the USF 17. Thus far, not a lot of passing, most drivers staying in line.
Not only that, you have to look at the inexperience that some of these guys have. For many of the drivers here, this is their very first time on an oval. Kyle Kirkwood, for example, this is his first race on an oval, but he did get a couple of days of testing with Cape Motorsports. Working through the lap traffic is going to be critical for him, because a couple of years ago when they were here, that's what got Anthony Martin the win against his teammate Parker Thompson. Now he's going underneath one of the Newman Walks cars here in turn number 4. Kirkwood doing a very good job from Jupiter, Florida, the same hometown as the last USF champion, Oliver Askew.
Indeed, a couple of very impressive young drivers out of Jupiter, Florida. Askew, the champion last year in USF 2000, now running in Pro Mazda. But as Chris had said, Kirkwood just picking his way through, finally now able to get by the number 37 of David Osborne. So he's working his way cleanly out front. Solid little advantage. Number 20 here of Rasmus Lent, an impressive young Swedish driver. Top competitor last year's CIK FIA World Karting Championships. Quickly making the jump at 16 years of age to come and run here in the Mazda Road to Indy. So right now the leader is Kyle Kirkwood. Watch the laps work away here in USF 2000. We have 26 down. Chris, we're now past the third mark here of a 75 lapper. And anytime we've seen over the last many years, we've been here at Lucas Oil Raceway, a driver who can come here with their team just picks up so much momentum in terms of confidence. Not just because the driver's winning races, but they know that they were able to come to a different discipline and still master the setup. I think when you feel that as a driver that, hey, you know what, my team can make me fast at street races, I can be fast at temporary circuits, I can be fast at natural terrain road courses, and at ovals, I know that we have our whole package together.
And being fast at all three disciplines helps you as you climb up the Mazda Road to Indy to get to the Verizon IndyCar Series. That's where you have to be good in all three disciplines in order to be a champion driver. Right now, Kyle Kirkwood, he won at St. Petersburg. He won in Indianapolis. He's doing a great job here so far on the oval, but tire degradation, like you mentioned earlier, is critical. Here we're running on top of a different rubber compound than we've run at the last few races. That's going to bring a little bit of a different variable that these drivers are going to have to deal with. And
well, driver in the wheel. Driver in the wheel, that is the Swan RJB car of Alex Barron. Barron in the wall in turn number 3. He was trying to work his way through lap traffic. Look at that, folks. Damage to the number 29, Russell McDonough. That's the driver he was trying to get around. McDonough with no front wing. And, of course, we weren't picking up on that. Hard to watch every little bit around the racetrack, but I have to believe the contact potentially between Russ McDonough and Alex Barron. He's climbing out of the car already. But I'll tell you, he is not going to be pleased with that at all. They were trying to get through some lap cars. This is going to bring more drivers back into the fight here as Kyle Kirkwood's lead evaporates quickly over in turn number 3. Barron was trying to run the high line and then went back down to the low line. I'm assuming trying to get back to the high groove again to get around Russell McDonough. So McDonough with the damage to the front of that machine. Wing damage, and it looks like right side pod damage as well. So if you're going to try to start piecing together some of the puzzle of what we see on the racetrack, I would expect potential contact between those two drivers. Definitely happy to see Alex Barron climb out of the car quickly, able to kind of run down the banking as well to the infield part of the racetrack. Alex had a great start. Did not have the best qualifying, having almost put it in the wall in his first lap, really charging into turn number 3. Had to get off the throttle, which hurt him. Came back strongly on the second lap to recover to the outside of road number 4 for the start. Quickly jumped to third and was running a really solid third with Lucas Cole behind him by about 5 or 6 car lengths. But again, we are always worried about trying to work around lap traffic here at Lucas Oil Raceway. We can go 3 wide. We saw it on the opening corner, or the opening circuit, where they were 3 wide through turns 3 and 4. But, you know, there's times when you're getting past, you got to just leave a little more room. And I know that Barron and McDonough almost touched on the front straightaway here. McDonough did the same a little bit to Oscar De La Zuriega, came down on him a little bit as they were side by side up the straightaway. That never pays off. The big defensive block never pays off at a racetrack like this, because just little contact can send you into the wall. Chris, you had the binoculars out, having a look what happened over in 3, but what do you see in terms of damage?
Well, it looks like the gearbox is split from the backside of the car. Barron got out under his own power and walked clearly across the track, so he's going to be all right there. They're just hooking the car up on the wrecker right now, getting ready to get out on the off the facility. This also is a very large field here, 20 cars. This is the largest field they've had here for a few years now as well. So there's going to be more cars to move around on.
True enough, and when you have a larger field, you're having a big disparity between the fast drivers and the drivers that may be a bit slower. That of course, then kind of increases the advantage or the potential for an issue with lap cars. Alex Barron now working his way, walking down the pit lane back to the team. They'll have a quick chat with him. They're already packing things up on the hauler. Tough one for him. There will be video to have a look at there. Of course, in-car video for Alex and for Russ. I can see Alex down there right now. He is absolutely furious down here on pit lane. Contact between those two drivers going into turn number 3. Alex, I think, is going to go over and have a quick talk with the EMT crew. Make sure he's okay after that, what was essentially a pretty hard knock in turn number 3. But I have no doubt that Race Control will be looking at as much video as they possibly can. Of course, we have it streaming here on the Road to Indy app, or www.roadtoindy.tv, and the Race Control page. But I'll tell you, from where we are here in the PA booth, looking right down at Alex Barron, he was visibly upset. His hands were moving. He was making the gestures to his team principals, and of course, race engineer Merle Swan. Alex now sitting on the wall here down on pit lane as the crew continues to try to get that car winched up. They're going to have to get it fully suspended to get it off the track. As Chris had said, the damage enough that this isn't something they're going to be able to flat tow anywhere. They've got to get it cinched up on the tow truck. They'll have to grab it in a couple different parts of the racetrack so they can balance it before they bring it off. Tough one for Alex Barron, Chris DeHart, thinking that he, of course, was coming into the event here as the second place in points. He wasn't back by much. For him now, he's got to just refocus and look at Road America.
Yeah, not only that, you look at where he was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. He had a fantastic drive there in the second race where he was spun from second place, then went all the way back to 24th, and then climbed all the way back to second place on the last lap of the race. Barron has done a fantastic job in the last race, and he was I think second or third or fourth in points, not too far off of points leader Kyle Kirkwood, who's still leading right now as we're underneath the yellow flag here. This is the first yellow we've had here. We didn't have a yellow flag the last time he came here in 2016 as well. So not ideal, but these drivers had an oval clinic just the other day, so they learned a little bit more about restarts, how to time them, and we're going to see how they handle that in a few minutes here.
Well, Chris, as you said, the thing about this event is giving these young drivers in USF 2000 the opportunity to get a feel for what it's like to race on an oval. This is not the way you want to learn, but sometimes when you have a failure like this or some kind of an issue, that's the best way to learn. Not the best way for, of course, the drivers from Swan RJB and BN Racing, Russ McDonough, and, as we said, Alex Barron involved in the incident. So, on a yellow flag here right now, and at this point, having a look, where are we on laps? About 38 laps, I believe, in the books. Indeed, 36 now. So closing in on the halfway point of this 75-lap race. Again, joined by Krista Hardy from motorsportstribune.com, one of the leading writers on the Mazda Road to Indy circuit. You know, Chris, here's one of the things I find interesting. And again, we talked about the momentum a team and a driver can take out of this event. The two guys that really were kind of lining themselves up as the primary championship contenders is Kyle Kirkwood and Alex Barron. They've won the races so far this year. Pretty tough for Alex Barron, but I guarantee you Kyle Kirkwood took a little sigh of relief, a little breath in the car knowing he's leading. He's got a car that can very likely win, and his primary points challenger finds himself on the hook.
And not the only primary points challenger that is going to have a bad weekend. Unfortunately, Jamie Caroline, the other BN Racing team car, is not here this week, and he's fourth in points. Unfortunately, not an ideal weekend for challengers to Kyle Kirkwood. As we see here, Alex Barron's car is just passing us.
Yeah, as Chris had said, it pretty much broke the gearbox right off the thing. That was a hard hit. You got to figure the angle of impact on the wall was enough where it just torqued the side of that car. Remember, the engine itself, a stressed member in these cars, it's actually part of the suspension, kind of part of the entire stressed frame of the chassis. It just ripped that thing in half. Not sure they'll be pleased with the fact that an expensive front wing is bouncing off the ground as well. That may be the only thing on that car that's not damaged at this point. So, Swan RJB team will be back. I have no doubt about it. We'll see them at Road America. They've got another car all ready to go. We saw James Rowe Jr. run that car 2 weeks ago at the Indianapolis Grand Prix weekend. Chris DeHart did a fantastic job. I'll tell you, to see that team do that with a young driver, an Irish driver, come in and be that good, I have no doubt they're going to come back from this.
You have to have a car well prepped if you're going to have a driver climb that high up the grid. And it looks like we see one to go at the line. The pace car is going to come on in, and we're going to get back to green flag racing here with Kyle Kirkwood still in the lead.
Again, Rob Howden alongside Krista Hardy here, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set to go once again. Live coverage here on the Mazda Road to Indy app, and put on a good race for those of you and the fans here this evening. Still the Freedom 90 to come for Pro Mazda. Of course, the USAC Silver Crown cars are going to put on a show. We're going back to green racing, and here we go. Green, green, green. Racing again in USF 2000. 39 laps down.
Woo, woo. One of the
Couple drivers hooked up on each other coming through turn number 1 and 2. Someone's crawled right up on the back of one of the Pelfrey cars. Those drivers locked together at this point. Yellow flag now flying. I think that's one of the D-Force cars.
That's the number 11 car.
That's Corey Enders, who climbed up on the back of one of the drivers for Team Pelfrey. It happens occasionally coming in. Okay, Chris is giving me the update. That is going to be the 10 car involved. Zach Holden, his weekend going awry again. It's been a couple of rough weekends for the Indiana driver here at both Indianapolis and out here in Brownsburg. So the driver involved, one of them being the number 10 of Zach Holden. Potentially Julian Vanderwatt, the driver from Team Pelfrey, who is involved. As they came to the green, it looked to be potentially, the way they're locked up, you'd have to think that Holden was getting on the throttle, saw a little bit of a gap, maybe Julian Vanderwatt potentially coming down either to block or to make his own move past the driver, and they just connected. Essentially right front tire for Zach Holden, left rear for Julian Vanderwatt, and that's going to drop them well down the field. In fact, they're going to go down a lap here as they come around. Just difficult for both of those drivers. We see that in go-kart racing a lot, but not so much in USF 2000 competition. Tough one for both drivers who were having pretty good runs at that point. Dropping them down the order. So I'll give you a full field rundown as they come back around here. Kyle Kirkwood is your leader in the Cape Motorsports number 8. Number 23 of Rasmus Lind for Pabst Racing runs in second. Kalen Frederick in third, Lucas Cole fourth. Pabst Racing drivers second, third, and fourth. Jose Sierra in the number 12 for D-Force Racing in fifth. Keith Donegan in sixth. For Arms Up Motorsports, Igor Fraga now seventh. Darren Keene eighth. Calvin Ming ninth, and Manuel Cabrera rounding out your top 10. Corey Enders is in 11th. Mateus Solar Obel in 12th. Colin Kaminsky in 13th. Bruno Tomaselli 14th. Tomaselli, the last driver on the lead lap at this point. Looking for David Osborne and Oscar De La Zuriaga. One lap down, David Osborne, Oscar De La Zuriaga, and Kyle Dupel. Julian Vanderwatt and Zach Holden involved in their incident. Russell McDonough was involved in that contact with Alex Barron. He only lasted 2 laps under the yellow. As I said, he had to come in. Not sure if he's got back out onto the track, but he had lost the front wing on the car. Potential for damage, of course, to the suspension as well. I'll tell you right now, these guys out here are going to have a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how to unconnect these cars. That's not something you do on a regular basis. There you go. Finally, you can see the D-Force car of Holden kind of jolt forward a little bit. They were finally able to unlock them. Just a single wrecker out there right now, so it could take a little time before we're able to get both cars off track. Flatbed now getting ready to pull out there once the field goes by. So 17 cars remain on track, 14 of them on the lead lap, and this is going to give Rasmus Lind, Kalen Frederick, and Lucas Cole another shot at it. 30 laps remaining. We're going to burn up a couple of laps getting these guys dialed in, that's for sure. As I said, Kyle Kirkwood coming into the event as the point leader. Kyle having really 4 good races. We started the season off in the middle of March at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The drivers had to wait a full month until we got back to the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Kirkwood getting 1 win in Florida and 1 win as well. Looks like both Julian Vanderwatt and Zach Holden have been able to get back to pit lane. So all that contact, them climbing on top of each other, I'm not seeing any real damage. They're going to bring the car of Holden down. They're going to go look at that and see if there's any damage to the suspension. Of course, that's the right front for him. They're looking at the left rear for Julian Vanderwatt. Once they were able to unconnect them, they're able to go. Holden's actually climbing out of the car. That's a tough one for Zach Holden. He is climbing out of the race car, the number 10. Same goes for Julian Vanderwatt, I believe. Damaged too much. They were able to drive it back, but not able to continue. So that looks like it could be it for both of those drivers. You got to feel for Zach Holden. Here's a young driver who grew up racing karts just east of Indianapolis at Newcastle Motorsports Park, one of the finest karting facilities in the country. Zach, highly rated as one of the top 10 karters in North America, won his share of major events. Made the move to the F1600 Championship Series last year and had some really good runs. This year making a jump to USF 2000, and he has shown so well in terms of speed, but the luck has just not been there. That's a tough one. Trying to go back on the throttle, get rolling again, and two guys get connected. Mazda pace cars duck back off. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back to racing here with the USF 2000 Freedom 75. Kyle Kirkwood stacking them up, coming out turn number 4. We're back to green. Kirkwood getting out to a pretty good jump, but here comes Kalen Frederick. He's going to capitalize. Frederick's going to go by Cole. He's going to go to the bottom side to try to get Rasmuth Lint. Kalen Frederick out of Potomac, Maryland, goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Needs to get that forward bite off of turn number 4. Halfway up to the side of Rasmuth Lint. They're going to go side by side through 1 and 2. Frederick on the bottom, Lint on the top. 2 cars in a lap and a half for Kalen Frederick. Here goes Lint back to the bottom as well. The young Swede goes to the bottom. He's going to try to return the favor on the inside of Frederick, but he gets a good run out of turn 4, and he'll clear him at start finish. Kalen Frederick, second-year driver, the number 24, goes to second. Rasmus Lint third. Look at this battle further back as well. That is Igor Fraga going to work on Keith Donegan. That's the battle for the 6th position. Keith Donegan from Ireland. Fraga from Brazil. The Japanese-born driver. Oh, they almost locked wheels coming across the front straightaway. Fraga's got the bottom of the racetrack, though. He's trying to make that car work midway through. That's the key to success here. You have to have a car that'll work in the middle of the racetrack. Fraga side by side with Donegan down the back chute. 22 laps to go this time by. Tremendous run for Igor Fraga. He's got to keep it down the bottom, though. They're going to go side by side again. Darren Keene in the 36 for Newman Walks Racing, right behind the both of them. He's trying to use that draft to pull up. He's just not sure which way to go yet. Does Keene go to the high side to try to work with Donegan, or does he stay to the bottom? At this point, taking care of the tires. He'll run the top side, waiting for Fraga to try to complete this pass at the bottom. What a great run between these two rookies. Donegan trying to pinch down a little bit. As I said, that never works. All it takes is one little piece of contact and you're backwards or in the wall. Fraga again, right in the mirrors, just trying to get Donegan to make that little mistake. Both of those drivers inching closer to Jose Sierra as well. Separate battles on the racetrack. Mateus Solar Oval trying to find a way by the number 37 of David Osborne. And Oscar de Luzuriaga in a good fight here with number 82, Berna Tomaselli. Gap between second and third expanding a little bit as Kalen Frederick able to pull away. He's trying to stretch away here from Rasmuth Lint. Last time by, all three of the drivers, first, second, and third, running 22.8 second laps. So Fraga trying to kind of reset himself, put a lot of pressure on. So checker flag being displayed, 30-minute time limit. I was not aware of a 30-minute limit, so white flag came out, checker flag was flown. Kyle Kirkwood with the win. They get 58 laps in. Kalen Frederick in second, Rasmus Lind in third, Lucas Cole fourth, Jose Sierra in fifth. Keith Donigan ends up in the sixth spot. Igor Fraga in seventh, Darren Keene eighth, Calvin Ming ninth, and Manuel Cabrera in 10th. A couple of incidents on the racetrack bump us up against our 30-minute time limit for this 75-lapper. We end up putting 58 laps in the books. And Kyle Kirkwood with a massive victory by 1.2 seconds over Kalen Frederick. He is your winner here today. Tremendous run for Kyle Kirkwood. Cape Motorsports team will meet him here down on the front straightaway. Kalen Frederick second, Rasmus Lind in third.
Cooper Tires at Freedom 75 belongs to this man right here, Kyle Kirkwood of Cape Motorsports. You have any fun out there tonight?
Of course. That was actually one of the funner races I've ever had. I don't know if funner is a word, but that was a lot of fun.
I don't know if funner is a word. Why was it funner?
Just because of the traffic, to be honest. It was so much fun passing all the traffic. Sorry, I got champagne in my eyes, so it's kind of burning. But that was a really fun race, and I'm really looking forward to doing more ovals in my future.
Well, unfortunately, there's no more ovals on the calendar this year for USF 2000, so you made the most of it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Kirkwood, your winner here in Indianapolis.